To kick things off, we know Jean and Billy have not always been CEOs and founders. They've come from their own beginnings. So, tell us about your first business experience. Billy, let's start with you.
All right. Well, that would be a proper throwback, Megan. And again, thank you for kicking us off and everybody for joining. Jean and I might look fresh-faced, but actually we're not 20-something entrepreneurs. And the first business experience was quite a while back. It was actually from back in the day that gave me my first sense of community as well. I'm originally from Bulgaria, born and raised, and childcare in Bulgaria is spending basically as much as basically spending time with your grandparents. So in those summers in the late 80s, I was actually picking snails and selling them by buckets to pharmaceutical companies going through the village and yeah, buying them by the kilo. So a long shot from what I'm doing now, but paid for ice cream, pocket money, and it was a really cool experience. Fast forward a few years later, I had a super exciting breakthrough, getting a scholarship to study in the UK. And after graduating from the London School of Economics, ended up being at basically falling into finance. And what was really cool about that experience was that it was a bank that was very focused on the power of the network. And the main reason why clients joined this bank was not the financial products, which were fairly standard, but the customer community, which started actually with the royal family. And back in the day, we had Her late Majesty the Queen popping in for lunch, and anyone that you can think of as a famous celebrity in the UK is banked with this organization. So once I was on the inside, and it was a main drawing point for me as well, I kind of realized that there's a lot more that we can do to really deliver on the promise of creating an engaged and vibrant customer community, which was one of the main genesis for Orbiit. And I'm sure we'll dive into it a little bit down the line as well. But yes, from snail collecting to the Royal Bank in the UK, that's a little bit about the days before Orbiit.
I love that. Nice to meet you, Billy. Jean, tell us about you. Snails, anything else?
Yeah, I
Any?
mean, before we get on with me, Billy, have you considered relocating your snail business to France? Because you would have had a lot of success there, between the pharma industry and the food industry as an extension. I think it would have worked well.
Full circle.
Anyways. So anyways, I usually like to connect at a personal level. So before we dive into the business side of things, I'll share a bit about myself as well. I mean, for those of you who don't know me, I can see some people in the chat that I've met in the past and would love to meet again. Thanks for joining. So I'm a 44-year-old French man. I grew up in the countryside, not far from Paris. Some of you may have heard of Fontainebleau. In English, you would say Fontainebleau. As part of my studies and career, I've had the chance to explore beautiful countries such as Singapore, the US, Switzerland, Ireland, or Denmark. But I finally settled down in Paris at the age of 33, shortly before meeting my wife, or the woman who would later kindly and generously accept to be my wife. And today we're parents of a 3-year-old called Mia. And very happy with all that. So aside from work and parenting, I love soccer, jazz, and playing the piano. That's it for the personal stuff. Let's dive into the personal thing. So pre-Hivebrite, I worked for about 8 years in the tech industry, which is where I saw cloud technologies transform the tech industry in depth, pretty much like we are seeing today with AI. I then completed an MBA from INSEAD, that some of you guys may know, especially if you know Fontainebleau, in 2011, which is where the idea of Hivebrite basically came up. I'll tell you more about that a bit later in the story and everything if we have time. And the past decade was then all about Hivebrite. And on the, let's call it the icebreaker, the first time I earned or made money was the summer of 1995. I was 15. So you talked about snails, Bilyana. I'm going to talk about potatoes. So in 1995, no internet, if you guys remember. So you're out, right? You're out in the nature. You're 15, but you're outside. And so I'm on a holiday with my family in a remote area of France, with a friend, and we meet a poor farmer whose machinery is broken down. So we decided to help him, and we spent about a week picking up potatoes in the field, putting them into heavy jute sacks that we would carry to a truck. I think I was paid 15 francs. It was not euros then, it was francs by then, which is 5 euros per hour. And I think this is maybe where I developed a very high appreciation for technology. Anyways, that's enough about me. I think with snails and potatoes, we're a good team. Let's talk about tech now.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jean, tell us about Hivebrite today. I know you've come a long way from potatoes, but tell us where Hivebrite is currently.
Hivebrite today. So, I mean, many of you in the audience, I'm sure, know what Hivebrite is, but just in one sentence, if you're running a community today and want to give it a home online, Hivebrite today is probably the most comprehensive and customizable solution on the market. That's our ambition. That's how we present it, and that's how I know how many customers perceive it. Now, what is the story? And I'll tell you where we are today. We decided to talk about the story of Hivebrite as well today because we didn't get the opportunity to do that in a while. So I'll go back in time, 2011 exactly, when it all started. So 2011, if you guys remember, were times when Facebook and LinkedIn were going really big. I think they went IPO around those years, like 2011, 2012. So they're dominating the world of tech in a way, right? So like, many of you, I'm sure, I became frustrated with the tech giants at that time. So don't get me wrong, I did enjoy using both platforms back in the days, and I still like LinkedIn somehow, but I felt there was a gap between the mission statement and what they were actually offering, or what I would have liked them to offer, right? So if you take Facebook, the mission was to connect and share with people in your life, something like that. Not far from that. But the main focus, as we know by now, the main focus was actually to keep people online for as long as possible, by any means necessary, even damaging ones and dark patterns. And like, as someone put it, as I read it a few times, and I like this way to put it, Facebook connects and disconnects people somehow, right? So it's an easy path. Everybody has heard of that, and I'm sure many of you guys agree here. When you look at LinkedIn, I was frustrated as well, but in a different way, right? First, I mean, LinkedIn brings together your professional network. And the promise somehow is to surface all the opportunities in your network. So what I would have expected from LinkedIn was to log in and then see a dashboard with all opportunities within your network at any point in time, right? People in my network who are looking for help, offering jobs and missions, people raising funds for projects and looking for expertise. But instead of that, more and more it became like a feed that tries to keep you online, right? So more and more it became kind of a Facebook as well. Again, like, I don't put Facebook and LinkedIn in the same bucket, but I grew some frustration. And that was back in 2011. And that's a conviction or impression I still have today, to be honest. So back in those days, I mean, I'm frustrated. And just like often when you start a business, it starts with a problem or a frustration. I decided I would create a technology that would connect people online in a meaningful and helpful way, which is what we did. But it was a long journey, right? I'm soon done. Meghan, don't worry, I'm not going to spend all the entire call of this. But so 2011, after graduating from my MBA, I started to work on this idea with a couple of classmates, with an initial focus on alumni communities, of course, which was our world pretty much back then. So we first created a small product, which was called Keep in Touch. Some of you in the audience may have heard of it already, or may have used it even. It was a web and mobile platform designed for alumni to exchange opportunities, and support one another within a private space. Our first customers were universities, schools, higher education institutions, pretty much. And from there, we quickly expanded through word of mouth to all sectors. And today people use, let's talk about today. So where we are, we're about 200 people at Hivebrite. We have about 1,000 organizations around the world in more than 50 countries who use Hivebrite to increase operational efficiency, to spur innovation, to boost their revenue, to accelerate change. But there is a meaning to what they do. Each time people use Hivebrite, they use it to make a positive change somehow. And this is what makes us extremely proud. But it's been a tough ride, as I like to remind and mention. We started, as you guys understand, about 12 years ago. The market was still immature by then, especially in France. Like, market was immature, tech ecosystem was not as developed as it is today, and there were very few tech investors willing to support a company like ours. So a lot has changed, obviously, since then, but that's basically the story. And before I give you back the mic, Meghan, we're just super excited in this moment of our journey. Super excited about what's going on, about this new chapter with Orbiit and all the possibilities it offers our customers, which we're going to talk about today. Wow.
Thanks, Sean. It's really, really cool to hear the story of Hivebrite. So awesome. Thanks for sharing. Billy, tell us about Orbiit.
Well, first of all, lights are back on here at WeWork in London, so all set again. But Orbiit, it's been a long story, and ultimately the genesis of it was those 7 years that I spent at the Royal Bank, where I firsthand faced the challenges that I see community managers, the ones that we work with, face every day still. So the inaccuracy of the data that you have in your CRM, the lack of resources, the lack of a systematic way to provide consistent value and connections to your members, the lack of time really and scope and resources. And even if you're doing manual introductions, which I was doing, and you have everything in spreadsheets, the inability to create a really smooth, seamless experience for your members where it's in their calendars, and of course tracking the impact of any connections that you're making. So ultimately, this is what Orbiit is. And I know there's some new people that are joining here today. And just to level set, as a context, Orbiit is an AI-powered matchmaking software that facilitates one-to-one introductions at scale within existing communities. For those of you that know Hivebrite really well, and again, Orbiit not so much, the difference with Hivebrite is that Orbiit is a platform for you as a community manager to have full control of the experience, who you want to connect, on what criteria, and then see the analytics, what is coming out of these amazing conversations. For your members, it's actually an inbox experience, super seamless, less than 30 seconds from asking your community members, do you want to participate and be matched, to actually having a live conversation with a phenomenally curated peer that is facing similar circumstances and wants to discuss the same topics as you. The actual catalyst for starting Orbiit was, of course, people related. It was meeting my co-founder, Luke Dirksen, who is Orbiit's CTO and the AI in Orbiit.ai. And we both really bonded over the idea that a curated introduction, a curated conversation really has the potential to be life-changing. So we started Orbiit back in 2018 with the mission to enhance human potential through connection. And we started that by a version like connecting on steroids. We were matching people for one-to-one in-person all-day shadowing experiences. Today we do matchmaking for digital connections between 30 to 60 minutes, so a much kind of lower time commitment that allows you to have more regular interactions. But in the early days, it was one day. And when unfortunately the pandemic came 2 years later on, after our original funding round, and all the firsts that a business goes through, first Forbes article, first team, first WeWork office in New York, when all that got wiped out overnight, we actually still saw a huge opportunity to fix what we thought was so broken in the world, genuine, helpful, but also private connectivity. Again, I haven't been a CEO as long as Jean, and I find it really interesting to hear everything that he's been through. But especially from 2020, I think we've all operated in just a crazy state of the world where building a business is hard enough, but then it's just been dealing with one crisis after another. And we're now operating in a state of just permanent uncertainty. And the topics that divide us and that occupy us, I think, are so sensitive that a one-to-one format and giving the opportunity for people to be really private, really vulnerable on a one-to-one basis, that is absolutely critical nowadays, giving that outlet to members to connect with one another. And ultimately, my community philosophy is that a truly engaged, a truly active, vibrant, healthy community is built on a foundation of multiple and consistent one-to-ones that build the connective tissue of the community. So we started, as I said, in 2018, pivoted to what is now Orbiit Digital Connections. And it was super exciting because in the early days, we got picked up by no other than Silicon Valley, top venture capital funds. And to this day, this is one of like a third of our client base. Super proud to connect literally the world's top operators and innovators. And we started matching CEO to CEO, CTO to CTO at all levels of the portfolios of these venture capital funds, and just seeing the most incredible results. To this day, our NPS is 86 across all our clients. And if you give Orbiit a try, or for Orbiit customers over here, it wouldn't be unusual to have a matching round with 100 NPS, which I think really speaks to the power of the format and to the quality of the matching. Now, of course, after 6 years of going really deep into matching, we've grown with our communities and our clients, and we've grown to understand the plethora of needs communities and community managers need. And there's definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, a need to bring the community at some point into a home and offer really fundamental, robust features, which is everything that Hivebrite offers, which is why I'm so excited to be here with Jean 10 days after the deal finally closed and have this conversation to celebrate and kick off a new era as partners going forward. So, and excited for our clients as well.
Really, I love that. There's so much overlap. I know, just as someone who works behind the scenes at Hivebrite, I can totally vouch for there being so much good overlap in Orbiit and Hivebrite working together. So tell me a little bit about how you guys got connected. How did Orbiit and Hivebrite come to be partners in this?
Well, as cheesy as it sounds, it was definitely a match from the very beginning. So full product, team, vision, opportunity alignment. I mean, I've always been fully aware of Hivebrite, and they've been on a super exciting and impressive growth trajectory. Also, as a Bulgarian and Dutch founder duo, we're always rooting for other top European founders. So I knew of Jean, and we have mutual clients that were always just singing Hivebrite's praises. But it wasn't until one particularly vocal prospect that came to Orbiit after investing, I mean, really an exorbitant amount of money into their own custom community platform, which, by the way, please never do that. There's enough really great community platforms out there. Please never build a custom community platform. It just, I've never seen it end up well. So they came to us having literally parked a custom platform where they invested more than $1 million and said, okay, we've decided we're going to do a really robust scan of the community tech landscape. A few months ago, we did demo after demo, conversation over conversation. And in the end, they came to us saying, okay, we have turned every stone. No tool has remained unexplored. And we're moving forward with Hivebrite and Orbiit as the most powerful solution. By the way, let's talk about how quickly can you integrate. And by the way, have you thought about joining forces? So it wasn't AI that matched us. It was a very vocal new customer for both of us. And I have to say, from then on, okay, we knew product-wise it's a fit. Then it was really about the human aspect of it, team and culture. We've always been small and mighty and very value-driven. I definitely want to shout out Team Orbit over here. I hope some of them have tuned in. I'm just so grateful and privileged to have been on this journey with just the most incredible operators and humans. So anyone that we would consider joining forces with, the cultural alignment was very important to me. But of course, as you can see, meeting Jean on the first second, female CEO leading with intuition. I mean, 2 minutes into the conversation, it was like phenomenal fit. Jean is a very empathetic, collaborative, analytical leader. Also very fun. And after quite a few years of remote work and a super small team, it was just so great to start meeting just phenomenal leaders. I worked very closely with the CRO, Usha. I just saw the opportunity to learn and work really great with this team. And then it's very rare when you have this alignment of product, team, but also opportunity. And it was a clear case that 1+1 does not equal 2 over here, that it's just a super exciting multiplier effect. Very exciting future for our customers, being able to access just an entire product suite of for all their community needs, but also for Orbit customers, being able to continue utilizing Orbit exactly as it is, with more product innovation, with a lot more community resources for them. Hivebrite has a podcast. If you haven't checked it out, by all means do. Customer community, and just so much thought leadership and best practices that now will be accessible to our customers. And hopefully we breathe in that layer of engagement and AI innovation for Hivebrite customers. So just super excited. And Jean, a formal thank you.
Yeah.
It's really a super exciting future.
Thank you, Billy. Thank you. There's
Billy, something.
way too much.
Oh, go ahead.
No, it's just way too much. And yeah, Megan.
Billy, something that you've said in previous podcasts that I've heard, and I just want to, if you can share a little bit of that again to our audience. Something that I love about what you've mentioned from the start with Orbit and Hivebrite working together is the importance of aligning your business, this company, with another organization where the values and the mission is similar. So can you just talk to the importance of not rushing the process and truly finding, I think you mentioned that you've met with Jean, but you liked meeting people who are just kind of average employees within the business. How important is it to mirror kind of mission and values?
For me, it's the driving force, because if you have product alignment, but the people are not aligned, so many deals, even if successful at closing, fall flat on their face if the team is not well integrated. So I think culture alignment and value alignment is extremely important. The 3 guiding values for Orbit have been, we're pathfinders, very aligned with Hivebrite's innovative vision. Jean talked about literally being kind of the first community platform starting 12 years ago and being a disruptor. We have a champion mindset again, even from the very early days, we were pitching world-class communities in the early days with a deck, no product, no website even. So always punching above our weight, always going above and beyond for our clients, giving it our best. And going for the win. And finally, we care. We're human in everything we do, and we care about the human element of it first. And yeah, to this extent, meeting Jean in person for the first time, he arrived at the meeting and he was like, you know what, I haven't slept all night. My little one had tummy issues, and I literally like rolled from a sleepless night into a live TV appearance in France announcing Hivebrite's Series B. And then traveled to London to meet with me and my co-founder. And he said all of that with a smile. And I was like, okay, this founder knows how to operate on the madness level that we've been operating with, and says all of that with a smile. It's just very natural. And for me, having a team that's really well taken care of and with amazing trajectories for growth and a much bigger organization to get plugged into was super important to me. So the people aspect of it, 10 out of 10.
Thank you, Billy.
Awesome.
Thank you, Billy.
Jean, tell us a little bit. Oh, go ahead, Jean.
No, go ahead.
Just tell us a little bit about from the technological standpoint and just the proposition. What did you find connecting about Orbit?
Yeah, happy to tell you guys about that. I mean, first I will say that I have to say something nice as well after all this. So I've been extremely impressed by Billy and Luke and the whole team, what they've accomplished. I'm going to tell you why we love their product and why we like their team. But I've been impressed, and also knowing what Billy has gone through the last few years, crisis after crisis. I mean, we all know what the world has been lately. Being a mom of two, I mean, it's very inspiring. So well done, Billy, well done, team. Now, before it's too much compliments and everybody leaves the call, let's get into the product and what we like about it. So for a strategic move like that, it's no surprise that you have to be passionate about both the product and the team. And so in terms of product, we love Orbit, and we're going to tell you why. Like it's easy. It's easy to demo. It's easy to set up. It's easy to launch and run. And so what's fantastic about it is that there's no additional human resources needed, right? So when people launch a community, they often wonder how much work it's going to be, right? When they launch a community with Hivebrite, organizing events, email campaigns, creating content, posting contents, and so on. Like this requires time, and with Orbit, the beauty here is that it's so simple and so quick to set up and run and launch that it's definitely a big plus for us, and for customers, obviously. The other thing we like about it is that the value is visible from day one, right? You launch your matching campaign, people connect on one-on-ones, and immediately you get to see their feedback and their NPS. And so that after the first matching round, which probably took like a couple of hours to set up, people have met and got something out of it because the matching is good. They're going to be able to share about whatever they want, whatever they're asked to share about. And there's value that arises from there. So it's a very immediate impact. The other thing we like about Orbit is it's both user-centric in the sense that you collect feedback very quickly, right? So when you launch a matching round, people get to meet and answer 2 or 3 questions quickly after the round. It's literally 10 seconds. And you, as the administrator or the moderator of this round, you get immediate feedback about what people liked about it, how the interaction went, and that kind of thing. So, and this is feedback, and that's the other thing we love, it's that it's an intelligent product in the sense that the feedback is fed into the algorithm. So the algorithm improves each time automatically based on the feedback that is provided, which is, again, absolutely fantastic because it means each matching round is going to get better and better, and your community is going to be happier and happier to connect over time. I'm checking some keywords here that I had. Yeah, obviously another thing, which is the fact that Hivebrite and Orbiit complement each other really well. I mean, as Bilyana put it, as we like to put it, Hivebrite is the home and Orbiit is the soul in a way, brings additional engagement within your community. Something to keep in mind though is that Orbiit and Hivebrite can work independently. This is not changing, right? Orbiit was working independently from Hivebrite before. Same for Hivebrite, and the two combine each other really well. But again, like if you're using Orbiit today, there's nothing to fear. You can keep using it independently of Hivebrite, and we'll keep selling it as a standalone platform as well. And last on this, and that's extremely key when you make such business decision, is proven, right? So the Orbiit is a proven product. We've contacted Orbiit customers who've been using it for more than a year, and who were happy to share their enthusiasm. And we're talking big logos, big names here who've been using it intensively for 1 year. A fun fact is I was myself a user of Orbiit because I'm part of a community that is actually using both Hivebrite and Orbiit. And so I got to experience it from the end user perspective, and I actually loved it. And again, about the proven point, We've tried it internally at Hivebrite. So we ask all of our employees, 200 employees, to get on Orbiit. Our employees are all around the world, right? We have employees in various states in the US, in several countries in Europe, in APAC. And we basically asked everyone to connect through Orbiit. And so we matched our employees based on some criteria and asked them to use it. And same thing, they loved it. So I mean, we see the potential. The potential is actually not to demonstrate anymore, but this potential of these two solutions together is very promising. About the team, super talented. These guys have built true expertise over time. They've invested a lot of time. They iterated on their product. They worked very closely with customers, which is extremely important to us. This is how Hivebrite was built over time, with close collaboration with customers. And so they've created something that is simple on the surface, which is the beauty of it, yet extremely powerful and well-tuned under the hood, if I may say. And they care about customers and are truly passionate about what they do. So these are the reasons why we love Orbiit, product and team.
That's awesome.
And I mean, I could develop on how I think customers can leverage Orbiit and Hivebrite, if that was also kind of the question, Meghan.
Yeah, absolutely. Could you just dive in a little bit more about how the technologies could connect together? I know we know that they can work independently, but how do they connect?
Yeah, so talking Hivebrite plus Orbiit here. If you're a customer of Hivebrite today, there are various ways you could leverage Orbiit to take your community to the next level. Again, I insist on the fact that Orbiit and Hivebrite can work independently. But again, if you use both, you can derive a lot of value from there. So it starts with the launch of your community. You're about to launch. You're excited, but also a bit stressed about that moment in time while your community is about to go out to the world. If you use Orbiit from the very beginning to connect all the members that sign up for your community, you create engagement and from day one, right? And you get your members to see the value of the community from day one. This is extremely powerful. You're not just telling them, hey guys, log in. You're basically telling them log in and start networking with your fellow members, right? So this is a great thing. The second thing is you can use it for events, right? So many of our communities organize tons of events, right? Sometimes it can be one big event a year, sometimes several events a year, sometimes it's each chapter is going to have their own events. But we know that people love to make time for networking at events, and so this is a beautiful way before the event or after the event to get people to network with each other, right? So the moment people register for their event, you could offer them a few days in advance of the event. You could offer them to subscribe for that networking session, which will happen on the day of the event. We do the matching, and on the day of the event, you know in advance the 3, 4, 5 people you may want to meet before the event or after the event. So again, like, you derive much more value. An event is going to be about content. Then you have the networking piece that completes the event beautifully. You can also use Orbiit on a regular basis, right? So you run a community, why not set up monthly rounds so that your community keeps connected and networking with each other, right? Sharing knowledge, sharing advice, all kinds of things. And of course, there's something nice as well about the fact that if your community keeps growing and you keep onboarding people regularly, you could offer these newcomers, these new members, a possibility to connect with other newcomers or with people who've been around for a while in the community. So it's a beautiful way to welcome people, new people as well. So I mean, you can think of many combinations, and I'm sure many of you are already thinking about all these things. So that's exciting.
And Jean, yeah, that was great. But also, what better way to show how actually Orbiit works than getting people to experience it themselves? So for everybody that's here with us today, we're just about to drop a link for a live matching round we have opening today. Forget about demos from slides. Jump in, opt in. You'll see it takes no more than 30 seconds. We have selected matching criteria on the basis of your type of community, community size, community related topics. So expect to get a match in your inbox next week and into your calendars as well. By all means, opt in, enjoy your match. Let us know what you thought of the experience. And the link is being shared now. If you don't opt in now, you also get an email about it. And this is how pretty much Orbiit works. So you can have an invite link pinned in your Hivebrite community. You can get that URL, drop it in a WhatsApp group. You can cross-promote it in many different ways. The main way to invite your community is via email. Those that opt in via the link will not get an email. So we're very thoughtful about every interaction with your members and not inundating them with unnecessary comms. Typically it's an email invite, a reminder if they haven't opted in, after they opt in, just their match, a calendar invite, and afterwards the feedback survey, which everybody is so excited to fill in on the high of their amazing conversation. So as Jean said, you will be getting really, really powerful analytics. But yeah, don't forget to fill in the feedback form after your chat. We're super excited to hear what you thought of especially if it's your first Orbiit match. I know we have quite a few Orbiit customers here who are regular in these chats. Please opt into this one and be Sherpas to anyone that might be giving Orbiit a try for the first time. And we will be cross-pollinating Hivebrite and Orbiit customers a lot more going forward. And if you missed this round, I know we're hitting the holiday season. I hope everybody has some exciting plans. There will be more matching rounds going forward on a regular basis.
Billy, Jean, I just want to say the chat completely exploded for a little bit once you offered that test link. So guys, do test the Orbiit. Please do test it if you can, but also it's just really cool to see. I think I've moderated this kind of discussion before with CEOs, and I've never seen it be so open and visible and transparent. So thank you to both of you for allowing users and our customers to demo things in a way actively, during the Q&A, which is really, really cool.
Well, we're community people. Sometimes the CEO hat bogs you down too much, but I know this is what we love doing the most, connecting. And yeah, client conversations are always the highlight of the day, and anything related to community. My Orbiit chats, I opt in on average between 3 to 5 Orbiit chats a month. It very much depends on what kind of topic I need to lean into more. Sometimes it's more female leadership. I'm a member of a community called Dreamers and Doers, which is for trailblazing women across different industries. Sometimes it's very much like SaaS CEO founder and founders, very hard discussions, say, on product and tech. I really care about wildlife conservation. I dip into charity conversations on that front. So yes, it's not, people sometimes ask me, well, what if every community started using Orbiit? And I would say, hallelujah, because every community is sending a newsletter, right? And you choose whether to read it or not. Just like Orbiit Connections, you invite your community to connect with someone, and it might be coming at the perfect time. And if not, they can skip and rejoin next month, skip it for 3 months. So it's very member driven. But at least you're always giving them that opportunity, and it's this engine in the background allowing them to extract value.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Are there any questions? Sorry, Meghan.
Yeah, I totally okay. Like Jean is mentioning, guys, please do comment your questions in the chat. We'll definitely have a little bit of time toward the end of the webinar to answer any questions you may have. We'd love to hear from you, and we're always getting really good questions during that time. So please do drop them in the chat now, and we'll take a few at the end of the call. But just a final question before we offer the floor to our audience. What's next for Orbiit and Hivebrite? What can we expect from you? And can you just speak to what it looks like for those of us who are still learning about Orbiit and Hivebrite together?
I mean, we're ready, right? I mean, we've been working on that acquisition for quite a few months, and our teams didn't wait for the transaction to be complete to start working together. So it's a very pleasant feeling to know that we're ready already. Our teams know each other. So we're we're ready to welcome you guys, demo the platform, and work with you to make sure you maximize that opportunity for your community. Billy, anything you want?
I was actually diving into David's question, so I left the last one on you, but podcast producer, love it. David, we're available from September again. How will this new partnership help associations overcome their top challenge? Associations, as I understand, is a major use case for Hivebrite, and Hivebrite is a leader in managing association communities. We have also dipped our toes in working with a handful of associations, and if I may quote our very first client, he said, I've worked in associations for 20 years, and this is the most powerful solution I've seen. Every association should be using Orbiit. Again, especially when we talk about engagement, it is so powerful because it reaches beyond content, beyond a mass event. You're all sitting there and listening to us, but it's just such a different format when you're pulled into and having that dialogue and having that conversation. You're extracted from your day-to-day and you're connecting with someone, similar goals, similar circumstances, similar challenges. When it's a really smart and seamless match, it honestly feels like magic. So when it comes to partnering with membership organizations like associations, we see huge uptick in member engagement, which leads to member retention. We also see conversion. A lot of our communities use us to match existing members to potential members, and for that organic brand affinity and kind of more subtle conversion, we see just phenomenal results and testimonials that inform other marketing materials and initiatives. Again, when you invite your members to opt in on a regular basis and they fill in the opt-in survey, you're getting a poll, you're getting a sense check on your community on a super regular basis, and other clients use the Orbiit insights to inform event strategy and content strategy. So I'd love to have a conversation. I'd love to give you the full demo. I hope you're opting in into this matching round, and then after you experience it as members, let's jump and show you how easy is it to set it up on the back end. But yeah, you can expect the benefits is real engagement, member conversion, and just tons of insights that can inform other community strategies.
Yeah, I'm reading Ronald's question in the chat. This is about mentoring. So thanks, Ronald, for asking. So it has to see with mentoring and Orbiit, right? So to us, these are two very different things, and we can develop a bit. But mentoring is something you want to control. It's often, very often, more like a program. In Hivebrite, at least, like a program that you set up with specific rules and so on. Orbiit is a bit more on the spot, more ad hoc, and something repetitive. But we're going to clarify all this. We know some customers of ours are going to wonder, like, when should I use Orbiit? When should I use Hivebrite? And so we're going to clarify all that so that you don't have to overthink it. But to your question, Ronald, are we going to leverage Orbiit technology and matching technology for mentoring? This is something we're discussing internally. So Meghan asked earlier, what's next? So what's next is, first, I mean, we're gonna take we're merging as brands, as companies. We're already able to talk to customers and serve them the way Orbiit used to do before Hivebrite and the way Hivebrite used to do before Hivebrite. But this summer, we're going to spend a lot of time refining the things we want to implement product-wise within Orbiit, within Hivebrite. I like to manage expectations. I don't think there will be much development and much integration built into the two platforms this year, right? We don't want to go too fast, and we also have like other things we need to work on already. So both products are going to keep evolving, but we're going to build more and more integrations over time. This is something we'll probably communicate later this year, so that you can have a better idea of how these two technologies can really complete each other. I hope that addresses the question. Trying to read at the same time here.
Yeah, Jean, Billy, you're doing great. And a lot of the questions, we're running a pretty well-oiled machine back here. Shout out to Michael for just handling some of the Q&A. One of
Yeah.
the questions that we actually do want to pass to Billy is someone has asked, you mentioned debating whether to build versus buy, that you've never seen an internal build work. Why do you think that is?
I mean, because there's so many companies like Hivebrite and Orbiit where we have dedicated 100% of our time to building community tools, and we live and breathe everything, and we are getting input from hundreds and thousands of customers that I think in terms of cost, building something, you would never get something as great and multifunctional if you go custom. I mean, unless you're prepared to spend. Jean, how much money have you raised in total? A lot.
60 million. But these two systems are complex, right? We try to make them as simple as possible for everyone, but these two systems are pretty complex. And I know it sounds good to say that, but it's a reality. Otherwise, we'd be able to develop everything that everybody's asking for at any point in time, which is not the case, right? So we just have to be humble. I think it would have been easier for Hivebrite to develop something like Orbiit than the contrary, but still, it would have taken, I think, probably from the moment you have the recipe and getting the recipe right takes time. We're talking probably 2-3 years of work, right? And I mean, depending on how many people you put it, but for a company like Hivebrite, this is what I assume. So if on top of that you have to get things right and build that knowledge that Bilyana and Luke have built, would have taken like and that assume we find the right balance and the right logic in there. So anyways, for us, it was not something we would have done. Then there is also the matter of like speed, right? We want to go fast. We want to offer the best things to our customers as fast as possible. We have lots of customers who use both solutions. Many asked us, Hivebrite, why we were not partnering with Orbiit more. Well, here you go. Now you got the answer. But
I want to ask maybe a softer question, but between the two of you, what community or matching experience have you had that's been the most impactful for you? Like, what's the best matching or community that you've been a part of?
you want me to go?
You want to?
Sure. I'm part of.
Jean, go for it.
I can think of 3 right now. I'm obviously part of the Hivebrite community, powered by Hivebrite. I'm part of the INSEAD community. I'm part of the Insight Partners community. So Insight is our lead investor, and it happens that they've been using Hivebrite before investing in Hivebrite, and I'm part of that community, which allows me to connect with other leaders from other great companies and share ideas and contents. Trying to think of any other community I'm part of. I think that's pretty much it.
What do you like about them, Jean, or what has been the biggest impact you've taken from them?
I mean, they're all very different types of communities, Ron. I mean, one is an alumni community, another one is purely about knowledge sharing and content sharing. The other one is about employee engagement and connecting with the Hivebrite employee to feel the pulse and also get some knowledge from them and get to hear about them. So 3 very different communities. I would say sometimes it's about networking, sometimes it's about belonging and giving back. Sometimes it's about getting some advice and so on. It makes me think of a customer wrote to us about a week ago, and I told before about how important it was to build meaningful communities. There's a customer wrote to us from the UK 1 week ago who said that Hivebrite had contributed to save 15 lives. People were basically about to commit suicide, and who through this community found the support they needed, and are still with us and on earth today. So this is the kind of comment that it sounds cliche in a way, but we're talking life here, and it doesn't get any bigger than that. So as much as it can be about increasing operational efficiency, advancing some causes, when it goes as far as being part of a movement that saves lives, and you actually get your customers to communicate the results to you somehow, is just absolutely fantastic.
I think that's super powerful, Jean. We talked about life-changing conversations, but you just took it on another level with life-saving connections.
And we would love to know more, right? I don't think we know enough about how our customers are using Hivebrite and the impact they make, right? I mean, we'd love to know more. So I mean, it's on us as well to survey more and to get closer. But you know, to the people out there in the audience, to the participants, you know, feel free to share more about how you think we help or how you think we can help, but not in terms of features only, in terms of how, you know, such feature or such innovation could help you make an impact, and at what level. It's amazing to be able to understand the ROI, even though ROI is a bit of a cold word sometimes, cold word. It's really important to us and also to the entire company.
And John, just to follow on your thought about impact, when it comes to one-to-one conversations, and Meghan, you asked about some of the communities that we've participated in. Again, for example, I very regularly, almost always opt into the matching rounds of Dreamers and Doers, which is a community of female founders and professionals. And what people don't, what's not always obvious is the second degree of impact that happens after a chat. I think when I speak to prospects, the thought is always, well, how are these two people going to help each other on this conversation? But it's often the following on introductions that happen. If one founder is fundraising, I've received and I've made investor intros, I have made talent referrals, I have referred contacts that have in time become customers for my matches. So it's really all the follow up and the homework that happens after the conversation, and it's sometimes a thread that continues unpacking for months after an actual conversation.
It's beautiful. I know I'm just looking at the clock here, and we're almost to the end of our time. Jean, Billy, any final thoughts you'd like to share with the audience?
I would just share that I'm so happy to see some of the names here in the audience. Reminds me of good memories sometimes, because I got to meet some of you in person in the early days of Hivebrite, probably less lately for many of you, but some people here in the audience have been instrumental to our success and helped us innovate and think about what we want it to be. So again, like, makes me smile when I see those names, and thanks for attending. And we hope to delight you with this new step. Super enthusiastic about what we can accomplish together.
Yeah, 100% echoing those words. And again, I see some of our customers that trusted us back in the day when we literally just had a deck, no website, no platform, everything hacked together on the back end. And they're still with us 4 years on. So every single milestone, customers that we've done case studies with thank you to everybody. I will just leave everyone with an urge and open ask. Give it a try. It's 30 minutes next week. 30 seconds today to opt in, 30 minutes next week. And if you did decide that this is a worthwhile kind of trial for your community, or if you're on the fence, what I love about Hivebrite is that we've now decided to make it easier than ever before to connect your community. And in addition to annual plans, you'll also be able to start with a quarterly subscription. So to run 3 matching rounds, get the feedback, see for yourself how powerful the conversations are, and take it from there. So give it a try. And let's connect.
Awesome. Billy, Jean, I just want to share with you a few notes from the chat. Heather says, 5 years since I've seen you, Jean, you look the same. Jessica says, wonderful partnership and powerful solution. Congrats. Lynn says, interested to learn about pricing. So I know that's something that will probably come up with the CSM. Lynn, glad to see you on the call as well. Long life to your new company, Billy and Jean.
Eve, I can see Jackie from Princeton. I can see lots of incredible people.
So many wonderful faces here.
Debbie, yeah. I mean, thank you all. Yeah. And, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your insights with us, Billy and Jean. To our audience, we'll be sharing the recording of this by email. So if you have any questions, you can hit the reply on that email and let us know. And additionally, a survey link has been dropped in the chat now. So we really, really appreciate it if you can share and just take 1 minute to give us your feedback on the webinar today. But outside of that, thank you all for joining all around the world. We look forward to seeing you in future webinars. Have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Meghan.
happy
Thanks,
summer,
everyone.
everybody. Take care.
Thank you guys.
Bye.